Health workers can only be certain of a government pay increase of 1%. Tomorrow we report on the state of pay within the NHS. We're live from a hospital ward as we ask workers and patients for their opinions. Do ambulancemen and nurses deserve more? We ask for your views. GMTV tomorrow.
At MFI's Hygiena Kitchen Sale, there's a price breakthrough with up to 50% off 30 styles at the lowest prices we can bring you. So hurry down to MFI now.
If your mouth could only speak, it would ask for a paste with a clean feel of soda. Now let's talk about the taste with your triple stripe Aquafresh bicarbonate. You can have your cake and eat it. Feels clean and tastes great. The first bicarbonate to taste Aquafresh.
Crufts, the greatest dog show in the world, with thousands of top breeders and their champion dogs. For them, what's the best way to raise a champion?
I've always fed Pedigree Chum.
It's great.
Definitely Pedigree Chum every time.
Top breeders know it's solid, meaty nourishment. The numbers speak for themselves. 147 out of 158 best of breed winners are dogs regularly fed from the Pedigree Chum range. Win after win, year after year. Pedigree Chum. No wonder top breeders recommend it.
Perfection. It really does exist. Sublime makeup from L'Oreal Paris. It's magic. A cream foundation and a powder in just one step. Sublime Makeup's airy microformulation covers with the comfort of a cream foundation while leaving the velvety finish of a powder. It lets my skin breathe naturally, and it stays perfectly radiant all day.
Sublime Makeup from L'Oreal Perfection. Perfect makeup, perfect care too.
From Timotei, the first ever clear 2-in-1. Leaves hair feeling lighter and fresher than you could ever expect.
To create the perfect loaf, you need a keen eye, an obsession for quality, meticulous attention to detail, and above all, 5 generations of baking experience.
Derek, do we have to go through this rigmarole every time? Just throw it to the ducks.
Warburton's, bakers born and bred.
And don't run! But we've just moved in and a fancy lamp is not a priority. And I'm too busy to do it for tonight.
Okay, I'll do it then. There you go.
This gear is tricky enough for professionals.
Oh, let alone a pathetic female.
Did I say that?
Well, you might as well have said that. Here.
How's the light coming on?
Fine. How's the dinner doing?
Oh, you know, fine. Fine.
Definitely Tenerife.
Nothing to do with the sun. Did you? Sorry, did you want to?
Oh, it's a nice lamp, mate. Bet that was a bit tough to put up.
Not half as tough as this chicken, mate.
We know you're not an expert on every DIY job. That's why we've got over 60 clear, concise project guides. So when you do it yourself, you do it right. It's just one of the ways we're making sure that together we can do it all.
Get ready for spring at CCC Sheffield. There's everything here for the great outdoors, all kinds of sport and gardening too. We've packed the store with massive stocks, all at really low prices. At CCC you'll find the best possible choice of outdoor wear, gear and accessories. Climb at the Edge, a world competition standard climbing centre. Whatever you want, from fitting tow bars to camping under the stars, it's worth the trip to CCC, Hill Street, Bramhall Lane, Sheffield. Open 7 days.
We've more cases for our Canadian law team in Street Legal in a few moments. First on Yorkshire, though, it's time for calendar news.
Good evening from the Calendar News Desk. Thousands of people from Derbyshire have travelled to Westminster today to protest about education cuts. Several school governors have already resigned over the cash crisis facing the county's schools.
This was Derbyshire's day of protest, and it began on street corners all around the county. This group, worried about the closure of a hostel for people with learning difficulties, were among thousands heading for Westminster to argue that Derbyshire deserves a bigger share of the financial cake.
We're going to London to make John Major and his government understand that the people of Derbyshire are not prepared to tolerate this type of treatment anymore.
Hours later, and the people of Derbyshire were outside Parliament, Many of them education campaigners worried about losing 400 teachers.
The schools haven't got the resources that they need to teach the children the national curriculum.
We've taken cut after cut after cut, and eventually we've just had too much.
Derbyshire faces a budget gap of almost £30 million and 1,200 job losses. Social services and the fire brigade are also in the firing line. Inside the House of Commons, Education Secretary Gillian Shepherd wanted to know how teachers could afford to take a day off school to stage their lobby. The demonstration by the people of Derbyshire looks unlikely to budge the government, and conflict seems inevitable. Teachers in South Yorkshire have already voted to strike next week.
Police officers seeking damages for the effects of the Hillsborough disaster will have to wait several weeks for a decision on their claim. After a 3-day court hearing, the High Court's reserved judgment on their case.
Mr Justice Warner will spend several weeks considering a decision which could have implications for other members of the emergency services. On the day of the disaster, police officers were among those who helped stretcher bodies from the ground, worked in temporary mortuaries and helped deal with hysterical relatives. When the decision on the case here at Sheffield High Court is announced, it'll be closely watched not only by the 6 officers, but a further 17 hoping to lodge similar claims. But the attempts by the police officers to gain financial compensation for what happened at Hillsborough have already provoked strong criticism.
We have received no compensation, but compensation wouldn't bring my son back. No amount of money on this earth would bring him back. It's just a fact that there is one rule for one and there is another rule for other people.
The reason that there's been 3 days of complex legal argument shows that there is the potential for them to claim, otherwise it would have been dismissed straight away. And when you have a valid claim and you're criticised for making that claim after you've suffered injury, it seems particularly harsh.
The outcome of this case will be known in a few weeks, once again reopening the wounds of a disaster which happened 6 years ago.
The manager of a hostel where 2 people died in a fire has been fined nearly £6,000. Richard Boddington admitted failing to comply with safety regulations.
2 people died in the fire at the Richmond Hotel on May the 5th last year. 20-month-old Terry Ann Jones and a 33-year-old cleaner, Kath Harrison. Scarborough magistrates were told the hotel had become subject to much stricter safety regulations when it began to be used as a DSS hostel. Manager Richard Boddington admitted 5 charges relating to failing to comply with the regulations and failing to maintain fire alarm and emergency lighting systems. He'd received 2 notices from the council instructing him to upgrade the systems. The court was told he accepted the fire alarm and emergency lighting systems were not in completely good working order, but they were not as bad as the council suggested. There'd been delays in getting suitable quotations for the work required, and Mr Boddington had been confused by the complex procedures. Magistrates fined him £2,800 and ordered him to pay £3,000 in costs.
The Grand Hotel in Scarborough is to close for 3 days this weekend following an outbreak of a virus which causes severe stomach upsets for its victims. Around 280 guests and 35 staff have gone down with it since the first case was reported about 3 weeks ago. Today, the temporary closure decision was taken by the management of Butlins, who own the hotel, the local council and the health authority. A 9-year-old who saved a family of 4 from their blazing home has today been rewarded for her bravery by the Prime Minister.
It was a day to remember for little Holly Mills. She and her family travelled to London to attend the award presentation with a surprise celebrity. And when they arrived, it was none other than the Prime Minister, Jon Major.
Well, he asked us first of all what we had done and just things like that. And we shook his hand, all of us that got to go for their award.
Holly was staying with friends at Little Fenton near Tadcaster when she was woken up by smoke. The youngster inched her way along the bedroom window, then jumped 20 feet to the ground and raised the alarm. Holly was one of several brave youngsters being recognised for their courage, but as well as knowing she saved her friends' lives, Holly now has a day out at Downing Street to mark her courage.
Rugby League now, and in Division 1 tonight, Wigan succumbed to only their 2nd defeat of the season at the hands of Halifax. John Schuster kicked 5 goals for Halifax. John Bentley scored a try, and this try from Mark Preston sealed the win. Halifax 18, Wigan 16. Also in Division 1, Hull beat Widnes 24-18, and in Division 2, Dewsbury lost to Huddersfield by 12 points to 40. Basketball news, and the Sheffield Sharks are still one victory away from clinching the Budweiser League title. The Sharks lost narrowly tonight to the reigning league champions, the Thames Valley Tigers, by 78 points to 84. That's it for now. We're back in the morning. Hope you can join us then. Good night.
The search is on for an ordinary family to live in this £1 million riverside mansion. Find out why on Edit 5.
Well, I came today saying, well, no hope, but nice to look around anyway.
Also, as businesses fail, is it the last strip for the kissogram? That's Edit 5, Thursday at 10:40.
Hello again. Well, after yesterday's snow and today's measly high of 8 degrees Celsius, it's hard to believe that exactly 30 years ago, on the 29th of March 1965, both Wakefield and Whitby recorded a daytime high of 77 Fahrenheit or 25 degrees Celsius, experiencing a heat wave at that particular time. Things are going to become milder towards the latter part of the week, towards the weekend, but temperatures nowhere near as high as that, I'm afraid. But first of all, we'll take a look at today's weather chart and we'll see how things were shaping up. The East Coast today suffering from winds coming in off the North Sea. Those northerly winds gave one or two snow showers as well, and we can see broken cloud over our region on this afternoon's satellite picture, but for most of us it was dry with a reasonable amount of sunshine as well. You can see a swathe of cloud out to the west there associated with a warm front. That's coming towards us, I'm afraid, and during the next 24 hours we'll see cloud increasing and thickening from the west. And there's tomorrow's weather chart. We're looking to the southwest for our weather. That means that things will become milder, albeit more cloudy. No problems with cloud first of all tonight though. Clear skies across the region. That means temperatures are going to drop away to around about -2 Celsius in the early hours, but as we go through the night we will see that cloud coming in from the west and tending to thicken up during the course of the night, and consequently temperatures are going to rise slightly as well. 6:46 the sun rises tomorrow morning then and sets again tomorrow evening at 7:37. Might be a bit of sunshine around Kings Lynn or Hunstanton in eastern counties, but generally it's a cloudy day. Any early brightness will fairly readily disappear as cloud thickens from the west. For most of us, certainly in eastern parts it'll be dry, but outbreaks of rain and drizzle will turn up during the afternoon, more especially in Pennine regions. Temperatures will be better than today despite the cloud. 10 Celsius as a high tomorrow, that's 50 degrees Fahrenheit in a moderate southwesterly wind. Good night, here's a summary.
I'm a neurotic, barren spinster.
Whoever gave her those pills is the murderer. Or whoever it is trying to kill me.
Vanity Dies Hard, Friday at 9 on Yorkshire.
In an hour, a supposedly inactive volcano erupts, causing problems in our disaster movie When Time Ran Out. And there's drama of a different kind now in Street Legal.
Chuck and I are through. And I have no interest in Rob.